God's chosen woman is not defined by applause, by beauty, by romance, or by how well she fits into a world that was never designed to understand her assignment. She is defined by obedience when no one is watching, by discipline when emotions beg for comfort, and by covenant when compromise would be easier. You were not born by accident. You were not shaped by coincidence. You were sent before your mother knew your name. Heaven already knew your mandate. You are not here to survive life. You are here to govern purpose. There is a war against your identity, and it is subtle, seductive, and strategic. It does not always come with chaos. Sometimes it comes with comfort. Sometimes it comes with distraction dressed as opportunity. Sometimes it comes in the form of relationships that drain your destiny while feeding your emotions. The enemy does not need to destroy you if he can simply delay you. If he can keep you busy without being obedient, entertained without being disciplined, emotional without being submitted, he has already won the battle for your assignment. You were not designed to live according to feeling. You were designed to live according to calling. Emotion is a servant, not a master. Feelings may visit, but purpose must rule. God never anointed your emotions. He anointed your obedience. He never called you to be popular. He called you to be holy. He never told you to chase attention. He commanded you to pursue alignment. There is a difference between being admired and being appointed. Many women are celebrated by people but unknown in the courts of heaven. You are not created to impress a generation. You are created to advance a kingdom. You must understand this. What you tolerate will train your future. What you permit will program your destiny. Every undisciplined habit is not just a personal weakness. It is a prophetic delay. Every relationship that pulls you away from God's standards is not merely emotional. It is strategic warfare. You cannot carry a divine assignment with a careless lifestyle. You cannot host heaven's authority while entertaining compromise. God's chosen woman is not casual about her calling. She guards her spirit, disciplines her mind, and governs her body because she knows she is carrying something eternal. You are not weak because you are gentle. You are not inferior because you are compassionate. You are not small because you are humble. Heaven did not design you to be fragile. It designed you to be formidable in righteousness. You were created with wombs that carry life, hearts that carry wisdom, and spirits that carry divine instruction. You are not merely emotional. You are prophetic. You are not simply nurturing. You are governmental. You are not only relational. You are generational. But hear this truth that must confront you. Destiny does not respond to desire. Destiny responds to discipline. God's promises do not manifest because you cried about them. They manifest because you aligned with them. Prayer without obedience is noise. Faith without structure is fantasy. Calling without character is a collapse waiting to happen. You cannot keep asking God to change your future while you refuse to change your habits. You cannot keep praying for elevation while living in patterns that keep you spiritually unqualified for where He wants to take you. You are responsible for the atmosphere of your life. You are accountable for what you allow into your spirit, into your thoughts, into your relationships. Every voice you entertain is shaping your tomorrow. Every environment you remain in is either refining you or restraining you. Stop blaming your past for a future you refuse to prepare for. Your history may explain you, but it must never imprison you. Redemption did not just save you from sin. It repositioned you for purpose. God did not choose you because you were perfect. He chose you because you were willing. But willingness must grow into discipline. Grace is not permission to remain small. Grace is empowerment to become great in righteousness. There is a weight on your life. There is an expectation in the Spirit. There is an assignment attached to your obedience. Heaven is not waiting for you to feel ready. Heaven is waiting for you to decide. You are not here to build comfort. You are here to build legacy. You are not here to chase relationships that flatter your emotions while starving your purpose. You are here to establish truth in a generation that is drowning in confusion. You are not here to be silent when compromise becomes popular. You are here to stand when others bow. God's chosen woman does not negotiate with fear. She confronts it with faith. She does not hide from responsibility. She rises into it with conviction. You must stop asking, "What do I want?" and start asking, "What was I sent to do?" Life is not about what feels good. It is about what fulfills heaven's intent. The most dangerous woman on earth is not the loudest. It is the one who knows why she exists. Purpose is power. Identity is authority. Alignment is acceleration. When you know who you are, temptation loses its voice. When you understand your assignment, distraction loses its appeal. You were not chosen to blend in. You were chosen to stand out in righteousness. You were not designed to be emotionally driven. You were designed to be spiritually governed. You were not created to be dependent on validation. You were created to be anchored in revelation. God's chosen woman does not wait for permission from culture to obey God. She does not ask society for approval before she stands in truth. She answers to heaven. Let this confront you. If your lifestyle does not match your prayer life is not yet aligned with your calling. If your relationships do not reflect your future, they are draining your present. If your private life contradicts your public confession, you are building on a foundation that will eventually collapse. You cannot carry authority in public while living in disorder in private. Heaven does not anoint performance. Heaven anoints alignment. You are not a victim of your circumstances. You are a steward of your destiny. God did not give you a spirit of fear, confusion, or passivity. He gave you power, discipline, and a sound mind. You must think like someone who carries divine purpose. You must speak like someone who understands that words are seeds. You must walk like someone who knows that every step is either toward destiny or away from it. This is your awakening moment, not emotional excitement, not temporary motivation, a decision, a covenant with God that says, "I will not live beneath what you placed within me." You must become uncompromising about your growth, ruthless with distractions, serious about your development, consistent in your discipline, faithful in your obedience. You are not waiting for a miracle. You are becoming the vessel through which God releases one. You are God's chosen woman. Not because of popularity, not because of beauty, not because of applause, but because you were designed, redeemed, and positioned for purpose. Your life is not random. Your pain was not wasted. Your process was not accidental. Everything you survived was preparing you to stand with authority. Now rise, govern your mind, guard your spirit, align your life, and walk as a woman who knows she was sent by God. Identity is not discovered in comparison. It is revealed in submission. You will never understand who you are by watching what others become. Your assignment is not located in another woman's success. It is embedded in your obedience. You were not created to compete. You were created to complete a divine instruction that cannot be fulfilled by anyone else. When you try to become what you admire instead of what you were sent to be, you do not rise, you drift. Heaven does not promote imitation. Heaven releases authority to those who align with their original design. You must stop asking people who you are. The crowd will always define you by what benefits them. God defines you by what advances His purpose. If you allow the opinions of others to shape your identity, you will spend your life performing instead of becoming. Performance exhausts, purpose empowers. Identity rooted in applause will collapse when the applause fades. Identity rooted in calling remains unshaken when the world misunderstands you. Many women live under the tyranny of approval, measuring their worth by likes, attention, or affirmation. But heaven never measures you by visibility. Heaven measures you by faithfulness. You are not an accident of biology. You are a deliberate act of divine intention. Your temperament, your experiences, your struggles, your gifts, even the wounds you endured were not random. They were all permitted because they would forge a capacity in you that your assignment requires. What tried to break you was sharpening you. What tried to silence you was building authority in your voice. What tried to limit you was preparing you to govern beyond fear. You were not formed merely to exist. You were designed to carry a mandate. But here is the confrontation you must receive. You cannot step into destiny while confused about identity. Confusion is not harmless. Confusion is paralysis. When you do not know who you are, you become vulnerable to anything that offers you a temporary sense of worth. You tolerate what you should confront. You accept what you should reject. You attach to what is familiar instead of what is purposeful. Many women are not destroyed by sin. They are delayed by uncertainty. Uncertainty does not just affect your emotions, it weakens your decisions. It makes you negotiate with standards you were meant to embody. Identity precedes destiny. You cannot arrive at a future you have not defined. You cannot steward an assignment you have not embraced. God never reveals the full picture of destiny to someone who is still negotiating their identity. Before He sends you outward, He roots you inward. Before He gives you a platform, He gives you a foundation. Before He entrusts you with influence, He establishes you in truth. You are not promoted by ambition. You are elevated by alignment. You must understand that who you are in private is who you truly are. Public image is not identity. Reputation is not identity. Social acceptance is not identity. Identity is what governs your decisions when no one is watching. Identity is what restrains you when temptation invites you. Identity is what sustains you when obedience becomes uncomfortable. You cannot live one way in secret and expect authority in the open. Heaven is not deceived by performance. Heaven responds to authenticity. Heaven endorses integrity. There is a weight on your life that requires clarity. You are not designed to drift through relationships, careers, and choices hoping that something will eventually feel right. Purpose is not found through experimentation. It is discovered through alignment. The more aligned you become with God's will, the more clearly your identity will emerge. When you stop asking what you want and start seeking what you were sent to do, confusion begins to lose its grip. Your life will never make sense until it is submitted to its source. You must confront the false identities that have been imposed on you. You are not your past mistakes. You are not the labels spoken over you by broken people. You are not the wounds inflicted by environments that did not know your value. Redemption does not just forgive, it redefines. When God called you, He did not consult your history. He spoke to your destiny. The voice of God does not echo your past. It announces your future. If you keep listening to voices that remind you of who you were, you will never fully become who you are called to be. But here is where discipline enters the process. Identity is not merely something you believe. It is something you practice. You become what you consistently choose. Every decision you make either reinforces your calling or erodes it. Every habit either strengthens your assignment or weakens it. Identity is not built in moments of inspiration. It is forged in seasons of obedience. You do not become a woman of purpose by accident. You become her by alignment, by sacrifice, by intentional growth. You cannot live casually and carry a sacred assignment. Casualness is the enemy of calling. When you treat your time lightly, you dishonor your destiny. When you treat your body carelessly, you undermine your stewardship. When you treat relationships without discernment, you compromise your future. Identity demands discipline. Discipline is the proof that you understand the value of what you carry. Heaven entrusts weight to those who respect responsibility. You must also understand that identity is not about what you can do. It is about who you are becoming. Skills can be learned. Gifts can be developed. But character is cultivated. God is not primarily interested in what you can produce. He is concerned with what you can sustain. He will not accelerate you into a future that your character cannot hold. Before he enlarges your influence, he deepens your roots. Before he increases your visibility, he strengthens your stability. Many women want destiny without development. They want influence without instruction. They want calling without correction. But the kingdom does not operate on desire. It operates on order. You cannot bypass the process and expect the promise to stand. Identity is refined in the hidden seasons. It is established when no one is applauding. It is proven when obedience is costly and recognition is absent. The woman who emerges from obscurity with clarity is dangerous to darkness because she cannot be easily distracted. You must become uncompromising about who you are. Not arrogant, not defensive, but anchored. When you know your identity, you no longer explain your obedience to people who do not share your values. You no longer apologize for standards that protect your assignment. You no longer seek validation for decisions that are rooted in purpose. You begin to live from conviction rather than from convenience. You begin to choose alignment over comfort. You begin to understand that obedience is not a burden. It is protection. Identity will also determine the quality of your relationships. When you are unclear about who you are, you will connect with what feels good instead of what is good for you. You will attach to people who affirm your emotions rather than those who challenge your growth. But when your identity is secure, you begin to choose relationships that sharpen you, not sue you. You seek alignment, not attention. You value accountability over flattery. You understand that not every person who is kind to you is assigned to your future. You must also recognize that identity gives you the strength to stand alone when necessary. You are not created to be isolated, but you were created to be independent of human approval. There will be seasons when obedience will make you misunderstood. There will be moments when your standards will separate you from what is popular. There will be times when your convictions will cost you access. But a woman who knows who she is does not retreat when she is alone. She understands that alignment with God is more powerful than agreement with the crowd. Your identity also governs your voice. When you know who you are, you speak with authority rather than apology. You no longer dilute truth to avoid discomfort. You no longer silence conviction to preserve acceptance. You understand that your voice carries weight because it is rooted in purpose. You are not given a voice merely to express emotion. You were given a voice to establish truth, to bring order, to release direction. Your words are not casual. They are seeds. They create atmospheres. They shape outcomes. But identity also requires humility. Knowing who you are does not make you superior. It makes you responsible. The more clarity you gain, the more accountable you become. You cannot carry revelation without embracing responsibility. You cannot claim calling without accepting correction. Identity is not a platform for pride. It is a foundation for service. You were not chosen to be elevated above others. You were chosen to be positioned for impact. You must also understand that identity will be tested. There will be moments when compromise will present itself as opportunity. There will be seasons when pressure will attempt to reshape your values. There will be situations where convenience will invite you to abandon conviction. These tests are not meant to destroy you. They are designed to reveal what truly governs you. If your identity is rooted in God, pressure will not change you. It will confirm you. You must guard your mind with truth. Identity begins in the mind. What you consistently think about yourself will eventually shape how you live. If you see yourself as limited, you will live cautiously. If you see yourself as called, you will live courageously. If you see yourself as broken, you will settle. If you see yourself as redeemed, you will rise. The battlefield of identity is internal before it is external. You cannot win externally what you have not settled internally. You must renew your mind daily, not with motivational slogans, but with divine truth. You must allow the Word to redefine how you see yourself. You must replace the lies of inadequacy with the reality of calling. You must confront the narrative of fear with the authority of purpose. You must refuse to rehearse thoughts that diminish your worth or question your assignment. Your mind is the gateway to your destiny. What you allow there will determine how far you go. Identity also demands boundaries. You cannot be everything to everyone and remain true to who you are. You cannot say yes to every request and still honor your assignment. Boundaries are not walls of isolation. They are lines of protection. They guard your time, your energy, your focus. A woman without boundaries will be drained by demands that were never part of her purpose. A woman with clarity will choose what aligns and release what distracts. You must become intentional about your environment. Where you remain will shape who you become. If you stay in spaces that normalize compromise, you will eventually lower your standards. If you dwell in atmospheres that celebrate discipline, you will be strengthened in your convictions. Identity is not formed in isolation from influence. You must choose environments that sharpen your calling, not soothe your comfort. You must also recognize that identity is generational. Who you become does not only affect you, it impacts those who will come after you. You are not just living for your present. You are stewarding a legacy. Your obedience today becomes the foundation for someone else's breakthrough tomorrow. Your discipline now becomes the pathway for another woman's freedom later. When you understand this, you stop treating your life lightly. You realize that every decision carries weight beyond your immediate experience. You must stop waiting for permission to become who you are called to be. You do not need validation from those who do not understand your assignment. You do not need agreement from those who benefit from your hesitation. You do not need applause to obey God. Your authority does not come from people. It comes from alignment. When heaven recognizes you, earth will eventually respond. You must also release the need to be understood. Obedience will often be misinterpreted by those who measure life by comfort rather than calling. But misunderstanding is not a sign of error. It is often the cost of obedience. You cannot allow the fear of being misjudged to keep you from being aligned. Your responsibility is not to be liked. It is to be faithful. Identity will also require you to confront fear. Fear thrives in uncertainty. It loses power in clarity. When you know who you are, fear no longer controls your decisions. It may speak, but it no longer governs. Courage is not the absence of fear. It is the presence of conviction. A woman who knows her identity will move forward even when the outcome is not guaranteed because she trusts the one who sent her. You must also understand that identity is revealed through service. You discover who you are not by seeking position but by fulfilling purpose. When you serve in alignment with your calling, clarity increases. When you operate in what God designed you to do, fulfillment replaces confusion. Identity is not found in self-focus. It is revealed in purpose-driven action. You must remain teachable. The moment you think you have arrived is the moment you stop growing. Identity is not static. It is refined as you mature. God will continue to shape you, correct you, stretch you. This is not instability. It is development. Do not resist the process. Embrace it. Each season of refinement is preparing you for greater responsibility. You must also learn to speak identity over yourself. Do not wait for others to affirm what God has already declared. Declare truth over your life. Speak purpose over your days. Align your language with your calling. Your words should reflect who you are becoming, not who you used to be. Life and death are in the power of the tongue, and identity is strengthened by confession. You must refuse to shrink in environments that cannot contain your calling. You were not created to be palatable. You were created to be powerful in truth. Do not reduce your convictions to fit into spaces that do not honor your assignment. You are not called to be comfortable. You are called to be effective. When you begin to walk in your identity, some will celebrate, others will resist, but heaven will endorse. You must also learn to wait. Identity is not rushed. God is not in a hurry to reveal everything at once. He unfolds purpose in seasons. Each season builds upon the last. Do not despise the hidden years. Do not underestimate the quiet moments. What is being formed in you now will determine how you stand later. Patience is not passivity. It is preparation. You must also understand that identity gives you resilience. When trials come, you do not collapse because your foundation is not circumstance. It is calling. You may be shaken, but you will not be shattered. You may be challenged, but you will not be defeated. You may be stretched, but you will not be broken. A woman who knows who she is does not retreat when adversity arises. She stands because she understands that her life is anchored in something eternal. You must guard against comparison. Comparison is a thief of identity. It will make you undervalue your uniqueness and overvalue someone else's journey. God did not design you to replicate another woman's path. He crafted a route specific to your assignment. When you compare, you step out of alignment. When you celebrate your design, you step into authority. You must also learn to forgive. Unforgiveness distorts identity. It binds you to pain that is not part of your future. When you release offense, you reclaim clarity. When you forgive, you free your spirit to move forward. Your identity is too valuable to be held hostage by past wounds. Let go, not because what,